Wait. Okay. Yes, we are live. So, hello everybody. Apologies for the delay. We were getting a few things buttoned up, but we are here for our weekly live breakdown. Today we have Diego with us. So we've closed. Diego and myself have closed a couple deals together, but today we're going to do one in Lubbock. But if you're new to watching Charles and I, we do this weekly deal breakdown where we pull a deal right out of our pipeline that we've closed and funded on, and we'll walk everybody through the deal from A to Z, the good, the bad, the ugly, what we learned from it, what we could have done better, and what went really well. But really excited about this one. This one is going to be a $25,000 assignment in Lubbock. So make sure you tune in and you watch all the way through so you can see how we did it. But Charles, what's going on with you, brother?
Hey man, another beautiful Monday. You know it's my favorite day of the week. So I'm feeling good on Monday afternoon, man. So doing well, man. Hope you guys are out there doing well. Diego, good to have you on here, brother. Let's get this show on the road.
I love it. So Diego, tell us a little bit about yourself. I just asked you how old you are. You're 22 years old.
Yep.
You're living in Lubbock, correct?
Yep.
Did you attend? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Living in Lubbock and going to school at Texas Tech.
I love it. Yeah, wreck 'em, baby.
Wreck 'em.
What? So are you a senior?
I am. The goal is to finish up this year.
I love it. I love it. The goal maybe sounds like you might take a victory lap.
Yeah, it's because I'm getting through school slowly but surely. But I'm gonna get through it.
You're running a business while being a college student. That is not easy to do. What are you majoring in at Tech?
Marketing.
Okay. Very cool. Well, tell us about yourself, Diego.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm 22 years old. I'm going to school here at Texas Tech. Going to get a marketing degree. I have been wholesaling for about 2 years now. I think I've done 23 deals. I got 23 deals under my belt. But it's been an exciting journey. I've learned a lot. I'm getting through school, but obviously my focus is the wholesaling business. I've seen what it's been able to do for other people. I've seen what it's been able to do for me just in the short period that I've done it. And so that's where a lot of my focus and energy is. So I'm excited to be on here to break some deals down.
I love it. Yeah, 22 years old and you've already done 23 deals. That's amazing. Yeah,
I didn't close to you, brother. I would have been dropped out of college.
Well, shoot. Hey, I've had the thought and the conversation with my parents over and over and over. Honestly, the reason why is because my grandparents were smart with their money, and they invested in real estate, and they have a huge rental portfolio and everything. And because of that, they pretty much gifted me the opportunity to go to college without having to go into debt or anything like that. So I'm taking the gift and getting it done.
That's respect.
Yeah, good for you. So talk about that before we jump into the deal breakdown. What is that like for you to have grandparents and possibly even parents that are involved in real estate? You're growing up around it, and then you at a young age decide to take that path as well. What was that like growing up and seeing real estate and growing up around it?
Yeah, it's awesome. And I'd say it's less about the real estate and more about just like being an entrepreneur and owning businesses and doing, I have a lot of people in my family that are in real estate. My grandparents are in real estate, but they've also owned their own business outside of real estate as well. My parents own their own business. My uncles and aunts own their own business. And so everyone's kind of doing their own thing. And so the biggest thing I took away was like, the freedom that they've had and that they've built over time. And it doesn't come easy. It didn't just happen like that. But over time, they've been able to build themselves to a certain spot where it's like, now it's all on them. If they want to go do whatever, they're able to do that. And it's because of business and then being smart with the money. Once you make the money, putting it into assets like real estate and all these cool things. So it's been really eye-opening. That's like, hey, you don't have to go down this traditional path of going to school, getting a job, then working your way up the corporate ladder, and then retiring and then doing all this. But it's more of like, hey, you can take control of your life right now. How are you going to do it? And I just happen to choose wholesaling real estate.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's super cool. We've got a comment on Instagram from Alex Habib, who actually, Diego, I don't know if you know this, but I went to Tech my freshman year, then I transferred to UNT. Habib, he was one of my pledge brothers, but he's asking thoughts on a market crash incoming, trying to buy my second property, and I'll allow all of us to answer this. Obviously, it's just our opinion. I do think, and this is from buyer feedback that I'm receiving, I do think the market is going to come down a little bit. Not a crash. I wouldn't say a crash, but I just spoke to a buyer, a volume buyer of mine, sent him a brick property in Garland, 1983-2, right at 75% ARV is where he was all in at. And he said that I would have bought that 6 months ago, but now I'm trying to get a bigger profit because I do see that the market might be trending down. So I would just say buy deeper. Make sure you're buying it like 60% ARV as a buyer, 60 to 75%, and then you've got more than enough comfort to be okay. What do you think, Diego? What are you seeing?
I'm on the same page. The feedback that I've been getting from buyers has been the same thing. The biggest thing that I've realized and started implementing is buy deeper. Like it has to be a no-brainer. That there can't be any questions. Is this a deal? Can I make it work if I do this? Can I make it work if I do that? It just got to be a good deal, and buyers got to jump on it. So it's going to be harder to sell the deals if they're questionable.
Yep. What do you think, Charles? He might be getting back in, but buy a new spot when rates go down and my 3% rate.
Man, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Also, Mavs in 7. I agree with that. I would say if I don't know if you're familiar with Subject 2, but I would start getting on wholesalers buyers list and looking for Subject 2 deals. You're buying it subject to the loan. You can get that another 3% rate, bro. You don't have to go and buy traditional. I hope you're not laughing at our Mavs and 7 comment. Our comments are lighting up. But what do you think, Charles? What's your opinion on a market crash coming? He can't hear us.
I don't think he can hear us.
Go, Charles. Okay. Well, let's kick it off, Diego. So tell us we're going to talk about a deal from Lubbock, a $25,000 assignment. This is in the town that you're living in. Tell us how you generated the lead, how you even got in contact with the seller.
Okay, perfect. Give me one moment because I'm going to point my fan towards me real quick.
Okay, you're all right.
The air conditioning in my house is broken, so I have no air. It's literally 85 degrees in here.
Oh my goodness, bro.
It's bad. But yeah, no, so this was a great deal. This one came in, if I'm not mistaken, this one was a ringless voicemail.
Okay.
So what we do is we literally just pre-record a voicemail or a voice message just saying, hey, this is Diego Cavazos. I'm purchasing some properties in your area. We purchase properties cash. We pay all closing costs. There are no real estate commissions, and we can close in as quick as 30 days or less, or some variation of that. And then we pretty much just pull a list, and it doesn't even ring the phone. Yeah. It just drops a voicemail in there. So they get the notification that, hey, someone just left you a voicemail. And then they go in there and listen to it. And if they have something that they want to sell, they'll call us back. Mm-hmm. So we ran a ringless voicemail campaign and caught this seller's attention, and they reached out to us. And I'll be honest with you, we'll get into it a little bit more, but this property is a pretty big property, and it was in pretty decent shape. And yeah. So anytime I really see like really big properties in really good shape, I'm like, oh, it's going to be hard for us to make a deal happen. They're better off going with the realtor. Yeah. And going that way. And I pulled it up on Zillow. It was already listed with the realtor. So when it came in, I was like, oh no, we're probably not going to make anything happen.
Yeah. So why go and I got my first deal ever off of a ringless voicemail. Why do a ringless voicemail? Are you also cold calling and texting, or is a ringless voicemail like your number one marketing method?
Yeah. So right now we're only just starting this month, we've switched to only doing ringless voicemails. The reason why is ringless voicemails have produced a great return. I think first quarter this year, they have produced like a 9 or 10x return on the money that we put in. And so I was like, shit, this is working. Let's keep it going. And so it's just been one of those things. I've done cold callers. I'll probably get cold callers in the future, right? Like it was great. I've done PPC. I got killer deals off PPC. I'll probably go back to it in the future. But right now, when I looked at all the campaigns that I had going, I was like, oh, ringless voicemail, especially in the markets that I'm in, are performing better than all of them. So might as well scrap them and go all in on this one.
I love it. I love it. Okay, awesome. Charles, just to catch you up real quick, it was a ringless voicemail to a seller. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you now.
A ringless voicemail to a seller. Seller called back. That's basically where we're at now.
Okay, so very interesting that you're leaning on I like what you're doing here, because all marketing channels are cyclical in wholesale and probably everywhere else too. But there's times where cold calling kills. There's times where text message kills. There's calls. There's times where direct mail kills. And right now you're in a time that ringless voicemails are doing a lot for you. So it's smart to double down on that if it's what's bringing you the best return. So I love that part of it. Now, when people call you back, do you have a special ringtone? Do you have a special phone that rings? Like, does it just go to your cell phone? How do you know that it's somebody calling back from a ringless voicemail, or are you just answering the phone every time it rings just to make sure?
And I have a follow-up question too.
Okay, cool. Yeah, great question, Charles. So this one, we use a software called CallRail,
yep.
And we purchase our ringless voicemail numbers from there. And what that allows us to keep track of everything for the ringless voicemail campaign. So it records all the calls. It tracks all of the calls. We know which ones we've missed, which people have left voicemails. But it also allows for when our phone rings and we pick up, it'll whisper us a message and it'll say San Antonio RVM, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then so I immediately know this is a call from the San Antonio ringless voicemail campaign. Right, or if it's in Dallas, it'll say Dallas RVM or whatever market it is. So that's how we know right away. And then, of course, there's a script and everything that we go through to get the lead.
Amazing. What's your follow-up, Chris?
So my question to the voicemail that you leave, and you might have missed it, Charles, but you lay out all the value. It sounded like to me you're telling them your entire pitch. Hey, we'll pay your closing costs, no realtor commission, buy it as is. Why do that in a voicemail and give them everything rather than have them call you back and then you can kind of hang the carrot? Why are you hanging the carrot on that voicemail rather than just trying to get them on the phone?
That's a great question. I don't really think that I thought about it too much. The reason why I did it that way is I know that when I was cold calling, that's one of the first things that we say. Like as soon as someone picks up, hi, this is Diego. I know this call's out of the blue. Just wanted to see if that you were interested. And then you go, hey, we purchase properties as is, cash. And then you go through the whole spiel. And so I figured, hey, let me try and grab these people's attention and see. Most of the people that are going to sell as is for cash in less than 30 days with no realtor commissions are going to be people that have some sort of, distress situation. And that's kind of what I want to capture right now.
Yeah.
Although we're going to talk about this deal, and this deal was listed on the MLS, it was really good. So I definitely can be missing out on opportunities like the deal that we closed here. So
yeah, I'm not sure you are, or maybe you are. I don't know if there is a right way to leave the voicemail, but I would say the people that are calling you back are a little more qualified now because they know exactly what you're pitching and they're calling you. So you've already got them, kind of on the hook. So I do like that in that way. But okay, Charles, take it away.
Yeah. So you got this. You leave, 40 million ringless voicemails to the entire state of Texas, right? You get a guy that calls you back. Did you answer this live, or was it somebody that you had to call back once he left a message back to you?
So this one, I want to say either I answered it live or one of my team members answered it live.
Okay.
But that's the biggest thing is like with the ringless voicemails, especially, you have to be available for when the calls come in, because if you try to give them a call, if you miss the call and try to give them a call back, the chances of you getting a hold of them again have like significantly decreased. And so like if I'm running a campaign at 8:30 in the morning, then someone's going to be available strictly only to answer calls from 8:30 to at least 12 or noon, just because we have to answer them live.
Yeah.
Every now and then, things happen. We're on a call and someone calls and we miss them. But the whole objective is to get them live.
Yeah, amazing. Okay.
Lost him again. I did have okay. So, what does your team look like? Someone calls you or calls the number back. Is it you answering? Do you have a VA? Do you have an acquisition manager? Because you said it's important to answer that call. I know you're running around. You also have class. What does your team look like? Who's going to answer that call?
Great question. So right now I have a ringless voicemail agent, and they pretty much just are available during those campaign hours at least a minimum of 4 hours, whereas they're just strictly available to answer calls. The thing with ringless voicemails is it's a little bit tricky in the regard that calls can still come in later that night, right? If I ran a campaign at 8:30 in the morning, calls can still come in at 8:30 at night, 9 at night. It can come in on the weekend. I haven't handled the campaign myself probably since December, maybe even before that. And every now and then I'll still to this day get calls of people that trickle in from campaigns that I ran myself. So that's kind of the tricky part, is like being available even after those campaign hours. But for the most part, during the 4 hours, you're going to get an influx of people, and then it'll kind of trickle off, and then just one or two or whatever. But my biggest thing is I tell my people who are doing the ringless voicemail is like, hey, these are the hours I want you to only answer the ringless voicemail calls, but I still expect you to be available later on. Now, if they're calling you at midnight, obviously, you don't have to answer. I respect your time and your life and everything you got going on outside, but I do expect you to still be available.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to understand the business you're in. So are these stateside people or these are VAs?
Yes. So right now they're stateside people. So my goal, and I'm still in the beginning stages. We're going to figure it out. We're figuring out as it goes. But I brought my brother in December, and I had him do ringless voicemails for a while. I had him do ringless voicemails for 3 months, and then I bumped him up to now do acquisitions and be a closer.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm thinking like, well, shit, I think that really helped him out, getting experience going through a script, getting the flow of the conversation. Very, very brief 1-page script, but he kind of gets introduced to the conversation and the world that we're in. And then whenever I put him into the closer seat, he was able to close deals like this, right? Now, I did do more training after the ringless voicemail, but I think the ringless voicemail played a big part in his success after or when he became a closer. So right now I'm thinking, hey, before you become a closer on my team, you've got to do ringless voicemails for 3 months. Show me that you have all the traits that I'm looking for, right? Willing to learn. You take personal responsibility. You're able to go through a script. You understand the conversation and what we're looking for. You show me that for 3 months, then bam, let's put you in the closer seat and get you closing deals.
I love that. This is little bro or big bro?
Little bro.
Okay. How old is he?
He's only 19, I think.
Is he? I forget my little siblings how old they are all the time too.
Yeah, I know.
Is he in college as well, or?
He is in college. Yep. He was up here for a little bit, but he went back to San Antonio. Now he's doing some stuff on the community college.
Okay, I love it. So what? I don't think I asked this, or maybe I didn't hear it. But what kind of list are you pulling for the ringless voicemails?
Right now, we're just super broad. We're just pulling absentee owner. I think we do under or built prior to 2000. But with ringless voicemails, you do have to have a lot of data. So I tried to, pull niche lists at first, but that only lasts you so long that now you just have to pull like, broad data everywhere.
Yeah, understood. Okay, I love it.
How much data in a month do you think you have to? I know I'm just popping back in here like nothing happened, but how much data do you think you have to pull in a month? And like, how many do you have to drop in a month to get results?
That's a great question. So right now, the goal is to send out 40,000 ringless voicemails every single month. 40,000. And so if we're gonna send out 40,000 ringless voicemails, we need 130,000 records.
Okay.
130,000.
Lack of cell phones. Like, why do you need that many records to get 40,000 sent out?
Yeah, it's because some voicemails, some phone numbers don't accept voicemails.
Mm-hmm.
Some, it's not able to get delivered for whatever reason. There may be things that pop up. I'm not 100% sure on why they don't all get sent out.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do know is that it's typically about 30 to 40% will actually get sent.
Okay.
Right, about 30 to 40 will actually get sent.
Yeah, a lot of data.
And so the thing that's helped us with that has been Deal Machine. The fact that we can get a lot of our data on Deal Machine for an incredibly low price and still get really, really great results.
Perfect. Okay.
So seller calls you back from the voicemail. How does that go?
Seller calls me back from the voicemail, telling me that he has a property. I pull it up. I'm all excited, right? Because anytime leads come in, I get excited, right? More opportunities to close some deals. So I pull it up on Zillow, and all that emotion goes away. I see that it's listed on the market. It's a super, super nice property. I think it's over 3,000 square feet. It really maybe a little outdated, like someone would go in there and make their own personal touches, but it's not like a rehab project or like anything like anything crazy. So immediately I just prejudge the lead, which is a lesson. Like, don't prejudge the leads, even if it's in nice condition, or it's listed with the realtor, or there's some other things that we'll talk about where I was like, oh shit, this deal is not going to the finish line. And I was prejudging it, but we got it and made 25 bands off of it. But
yeah, this sounds like a flipper's dream job right here, man. I mean,
yeah,
big ass house, doesn't need any work. That's exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. So I was, so I had the conversation with him. I just said, hey, like, what's up? I kind of went through the script and our process and what we can offer. I told him straight up, like, hey, we're probably not the best fit for you just because we're investors. We've got to make money off of the property, and it looks like it's in great shape. The way the property is, the price that it's listed at, we're going to be significantly lower than that. And so I ended up making him an offer. He had it listed for 545,000. I think my first offer I made him was at like 350,000.
Yeah. That's a nice house there. I mean, I'm not sold on the leopard carpet.
Yeah.
But that's a nice house at the end of the day. So
yeah, I'm not sold on the leopard carpet either. Or that paper in the back. But like, other than that, someone would move into it, make their own touches, and then it would be and then it would be good.
This sounds like like, what was stopping it from selling on the market? It's a nice house. Why wasn't it selling with the realtor?
These are the houses that got affected with all these interest rates. So the amount of buyers that would potentially look at it, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, are not looking at it anymore because they can't afford it. That's my opinion on why it wasn't selling.
Right.
I think it had been listed for like 5 or 6 months.
Okay, so it sounds like a classic. It's listed too high, right? Like, there's just nobody's gonna buy it at that price. Doesn't make sense at that price.
Well, it's that price class that got killed when the interest rates went up. The 3.2s families still need, right?
Yep.
But this is a 3-bed, 4-bath, 3,500 square foot, 2-story house.
Yeah.
This isn't a need for somebody. Somebody's moving in here because they want a nicer and a bigger home, or we'll talk about why our buyers bought it. But yeah, that price class got hit the hardest. Anything above your average medium home price, yeah, you're sitting on the market, or you're gonna have to just pull it off and hope Diego leaves you a voicemail.
yeah, literally.
Thanks. Okay. So you give him this first offer at 250,000 less than it's listed for. What's his initial response to that?
His initial response was like, hey, I completely understand. He was very, very cool the entire way. He's like, hey, I completely understand. Obviously, you guys are investors. Y'all are trying to make money. I see where you're coming in at. we just can't do it. He said, I need to sell it, but I would probably sell it for like 500 is the lowest I would go. But I'm not going to be able to. I'll just wait and see what we get on the market.
Okay.
Hey, no worries.
What's their like, where are they moving out of the house? Do they live there? What's kind of their motivation? What's got them with this house on the market and ready to move on from it?
Yeah. So I think they had just bought a business in Dallas.
Okay.
They just bought a business in Dallas, or their business was moving to Dallas, or they needed to operate it out of Dallas. Mm-hmm. Something in regards to them having a business was pulling them to Dallas. And so that's why they were selling the property. In the beginning, they just weren't in a huge rush.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's been sitting on the market 4 or 5 months now. You know, they're getting to a point, it sounds like, where they need to go, where they can't hang around San Antonio too much longer. So what happens next? You give him the offer. He's still, $150,000 higher than you want to be. What happens next?
So what happens next? This is one mistake that I made. I offered him $350. He's at $500. There's no way that we're gonna do business. At least that's what I thought. And so what I did is I unqualified the lead in my CRM. And I shouldn't have done this. And the reason why I unqualified it was because it was a nice property listed on the market. Like, I didn't think there was any way we were going to do business, right? So I unqualified it. I took it pretty much out of the CRM, which I shouldn't have, because my CRM has a nurture campaign where every few days or whatever, it'll send text messages and follow up.
Yep.
Thank God he ended up calling me back, because I unqualified him and he wasn't receiving any of my text messages.
Yep.
If he wouldn't have called me back, then I wouldn't have got the deal.
Yeah.
So we kind of went our separate ways. That was in January, I think. He entered the CRM in January. That day I gave him an offer, figured out we weren't a good fit. I unqualified him when really I should have just put retail, right? Or retail would have been perfect, right? And then the CRM would have known that, like, oh, this dude's asking retail price, and then would have followed up with some text messages in the future.
Yep.
We went our separate ways, and then it was quiet. I had forgot about it. On to the next. And I think in March, the end of March, I got a call back from him. So it had been about like 3 months. 3 months, he called me back.
Yeah, I mean, that is I'll say two things to you, right? One, you must have done an amazing job on the phone with him for him to have saved your information, remember talking to you 3 months later, because these people get calls every damn day, so they usually don't remember you after a week, right? So you obviously did a good job of, I think part of that was probably how honest you were. Hey, look, I'm probably not the guy for you, right? I do that all the time because, you're here to help people, man. If you can't help somebody who solve their problem, then you don't need to waste their time. And you did a good job of, hey, if you ever are down around this range, you let me know. But, other than that, I'm not your guy, right? And that probably garnered a lot of respect.
Mm-hmm.
So good job on that, and good job on being there when he called back, right?
Yeah, 100%. That was one thing that I noticed as well, is when I did talk with him, that's the biggest thing, is when you're on the phone with these sellers, is it's not just about the property or making the offer or doing this or doing that, but actually building. They have to like you, trust you, and want to do business with you. Otherwise, they'll never sign a contract. And so even with someone that I may not think that I'm going to be able to ever do business with, I at least want to point them in the right direction, in the better direction. We're in the people's business, right? I want to help people. And so that's why I'm straight up with them. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, like, oh, we're the best fit on this one, we can do this, when it's like, hey, clearly you're asking this, my offer is down here. Like, hey, honestly, we're probably not the best fit. However, if you come to a point where it's like, hey, this property's been sitting for longer than I wanted it to, I needed the money now, I just need to be done with it, I need to move on, I need to go, give me a call back, we can see if we can make something work. I just can't do that price. And that's why he called me back.
Okay, perfect. So he calls back, brightens your whole day, I'm sure. You probably didn't even remember this guy that you talked to, but
yeah.
He calls you back, you're having a bowl of Apple Jacks, and what does he tell you?
So he calls me up and he's like, hey, Diego, this is Tony. We spoke a while back, and you're right. Like, I had no clue how to search him up in the CRM. I found him, I pulled it all up, and I was like, why is this guy calling me back? Like, I made him an offer $250 less than what he's asking.
Yeah.
And he's calling me back. So I had a conversation with him. He said, "Hey, Diego, I'm at a spot now where I've got to sell this thing fast. We've got to get to Dallas, and we've got to get there now. The house is already unpacked. It's just a few of our things that that we're just waiting until it's bought, and then we're gonna move the rest of it. But I need to move quick. Where do you have to be to purchase it?" So I said, "Hey, I'll take a look at it again. We'll run some numbers, but I do know we're going to be a lot." This time he had it listed for 525. He had done a price reduction, and I saw it. I said, "But I can tell you this straight up: we're going to be a lot lower than that 525 that you have it at." He said, "Hey, I completely understand." He said, "I understand that I'm going to be making a loss on this one," and I said, "Okay, let me go see what we can do." So I ran my numbers again, and then I made him an offer of 360. I think I went up like 10 grand, which I don't know why. I probably should have just stayed at 350, but I went up 10 grand, and went up 10 grand. And then he said, I think he countered me at 375. He said, "Can you do 375?
This is crazy. This is. I want you guys to understand how absolutely
It's insane.
This is that moment where you look up, the clouds part, and God Himself is smiling at you. Stuff like that. All right. So he's got this listed for 525, right? You offer him 360, and he comes down over 100,000, 150,000. Hey man, let me hold this. If you could just give me 375, you got yourself a deal.
Yeah, it was insane. And when he told me I was like, is this dude like joking right now? Is this for real or
doing here?
Yeah, what's going on? But I kept my composure, whatever. I went back and I said, we negotiated a little bit more. He was kind of firm at that 375. I was nervous as well, just because, it's a higher price property that's been affected by the interest rates and by the market that we're in. I actually saw, what else? No, I'm getting ahead of myself. So yeah, I saw that it was listed. It wasn't moving. I knew it was one of those. It was a bigger property in Lubbock. I deal with properties that are like ARVs $80,000.
Yeah.
I deal with properties. They're big properties, but they're literally only worth 100,000, 150. Most of my deals are between that 80 and 100 range. So I'm thinking like 360, 500. Either way, that's very, very high price for here in Lubbock. Yep. So that was making me nervous. But either way, I said like, hey, we can make it work at 375. And he said, or I think I negotiated. I was still at 370. Either way, we didn't make a deal happen then, because I don't think I jumped on his number just yet. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I was still at 360 or 365, 370.
Yep.
And he said, "Let me talk."
Thinking in terms of like how you're going to sell this or where you can sell it. Like, where do you think you can sell this at? How are you thinking you're going to get this disposed? Like, what's going through your mind as you're looking at this property that doesn't need much work?
Yeah, so this one I'm thinking, I need to hit up my boy Chris. On this one. I know he'll throw it on Investor Lift and snag a buyer that way. That's pretty much the only option. So
you're already Chris in the back of your mind when you're like,
yeah, no, literally, and that's exactly what I did. But yeah, so I offered him. I didn't make anything happen. He said 375. He said, "Let me go talk to my wife and see if we can make something work." He goes, talks to his wife, and then he calls me back and said, "Hey, Diego, I have an offer at 385." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Okay, that's probably your best shot. Like, I don't know if we're going to be able to get up there.
Yeah,
we may be able to do 375, but we can't do 385." And he said, "Okay, well then I'm going to go with them." And so he went with him. And then I'm sitting, just chilling at the house and scrolling through Facebook, and I see this property posted by some other wholesaler on Facebook. I'm like, damn it. I'm like, so they got him. So I said, okay, let's see if they dispo it. I see they're asking like 410 for the property or whatever. It's all over Facebook. And then this dude, he calls me back again. The seller, probably a week, 2 weeks later, he calls me back and says, "Hey, Diego, the people that offered 385, they went to go look at it, and they came back for like a very, very big price reduction, and we just don't want to do that, and we don't want to work with them either. They already wasted our time."
Yep.
So I was like, okay, bet, let's make it work. I said, hey, let's do the three. He called me back 3 times without me ever doing anything. So I was like, bro, like I will give you the 375, and we'll see if we can make something work. And that's what we did. We locked it up at 375 and sent it over to Chris, and then Chris got the buyer, and he can tell that.
Yeah. So before we jump into the dispo of this, did you send him a regular contract? Did you have to go through the realtor? How did the contract process go since it was listed?
So he had a good relationship with the realtor. So he was actually able to cut the realtor out pretty much, or the realtor pretty much said, hey, like, don't worry about it. I'm good. Like, go do your
this property, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Don't have anything to do with this anymore.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Okay, perfect. So
the realtor was done. So
check signed. You're like, all right, 375. We're gonna get this done, and you send it to Chris. Boom, Chris. This pops up in your lead form sheet or whatever you got over there, and you see Diego's name. You know it's gonna be a deal because it's Diego. What do you do next once you see this come through?
Yeah, I love that I see Diego's name on it, but I don't love everything else I see on it. On market, been on market for 6 months, already been marketed by another wholesaler, a luxury home. So, me and Diego have that talk. This is going to be, a little difficult to move. Yep. We'll see. It's still a beautiful property. It's an attractive property, but, we understand, the forces against us. And when a wholesaler has already previously marketed, there's 2 things that go on in my head. One, and I just have to guess, was it a good or a bad wholesaler? Maybe they only had 5 buyers that they could send it to, or maybe they only put it on Facebook. So hopefully, majority of my buyers haven't seen it. But the bad is, if they have, this deal comes around again, the buyers aren't thinking, oh, this is a great deal. They're thinking, what's wrong with the property, right? Because it didn't sell initially and it didn't sell on market at a much higher price. But still, if a buyer sees that it's on market at 500, they're going to buy it at whatever price and then put it back on market at near that price again. They already know that didn't work out. So those are all things that Diego and I discussed, and we know it's a tall mountain to climb, but we're up for it. And so we start marketing the property, and almost immediately we have a buyer who's hot in pursuit of it. We're marketing it at $385, which gives us a $10,000 assignment. We go out, we invite and this was at a moment where Diego was out of town. So we would have loved for Diego to be there, kind of run the filter between buyer and seller. Luckily, Diego was up front. The sellers were aware of Diego. He was wholesaling and bringing a buyer in there. So we send the buyer out, and what he explains to me prior to going out is, I'm looking at this as a homestead for me and my wife. We just want to check it out. We've been looking. This is an exact area that we were kind of looking at. So we want to go and look at it. Perfect. That's music to me and Diego's ears. This is not an investor. This is not someone looking to fix and flip. He does do that stuff, but he's looking at it as a homestead. And he goes and walks it. He calls me back. He likes the property. He says, hey, actually, my wife went to high school with the sellers. They know each other.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they had a great time. They really enjoyed reconnecting. And he said, hey, my wife loves the property. What we really want to do is move in my mother-in-law, who's getting older. We've been looking for a space for her, but this home is big enough for us to move her in with us. She can live on the first floor. We can live on the second. So she still gets her privacy and living on her own. When we need to help her and take care of her, we can just come down. So it's a perfect scenario. So what do you do there? You have a buyer who's ready to go. He's offering asking price. We've only been marketing it one day. Maybe it was one day. It was within that first week that this buyer jumped on it, but it was really early in our marketing. So what do you do? For me, I want to make Diego as much money as I can, and I want to make myself some money too. So knowing that we were early in the marketing, I use that as leverage. And then also just picking up clues. His wife loves it, right? So this man is going to go the extra mile to make sure we get the property. So I just explained it to him. Hey, we just started marketing this property. $385 is our asking price, but we want to make sure we give it the full exposure for a week so we can get our best offers in. However, we do have a buy now price of $400,000, a $15K increase, if you'd like to, put in your bid at 400K, we would cease all the marketing. We would stop all the conversations with other buyers. We would cancel our showings, and we would move forward in agreement with you. For a buyer hearing that, who has a wife who really wants it, and it's a perfect scenario for them, that's FOMO, right? He's going to fear of missing out. This is the perfect property for him. And I'm not trying to, pin him down. If he doesn't want to take it, he doesn't have to take it. And we can go and talk to other buyers. He says, hey, I totally get it. We'll do the 400K. He says that on the call. He's like, we'll do it. We'll do the 400K.
Thanks. Happy wife, happy life. I'm doing it.
Yes, sir.
Exactly right. So I called Diego back, and me and Diego, we were both under the impression this was going to be a little difficult to sell. If we got our 10K, we were going to be very happy about it. Call him back. Hey, we got a 25K assignment ready to go. Are you ready to move forward? Diego, your answer was, of course. Let's do it. Call him back before he forgets. We called him back. Got him under contract. Super easy buyer to deal with. He's an investor. Did you ever meet him, Diego?
I never did. No.
Okay. So yeah, he's an investor out there. So he already had the cruise. Once they bought it, they started their remodel. They're updating the whole thing. They're turning it into, again, a little more comfortable for his mother-in-law, and then obviously his wife is going to have some touches on the remodeling as well. But a perfect scenario for Diego and I. That's the exact buyer we needed. And then for the buyer, he had been looking for a year for a property like this. Yeah. Never got it. He saw that property on the market. He already knew about it, but wasn't at a price point that made sense for him. So he was able to get this property $125,000 cheaper than it was on the market. Yes, we brought him up 15K.
Yeah, but he's
still 125K cheaper than what.
That's a win.
Yeah, take the 15K. Man.
This is why wholesalers play such an important part in the ecosystem of real estate, because that's what we're supposed to specialize in. Not a lot of us are great at finding those great discounts, but Diego certainly is. Charles, you certainly are. We brought 125K discount to a buyer because of Diego.
Yeah, crazy.
You can't beat that. Yeah, that's unheard of. So
we're Walmart, man. You just can't
roll the prices back. So yeah, major kudos to you. But we did have to overcome some things after that. But in terms of the dispo, perfect buyer, easy to work with. We inked them up quick. We did the buy now so we could get some, get a higher price point. And then we had a $25,000 assignment on the table. But as we all know, you got to get through title. You got to get through, some liens and everything else. So, Diego, what happened after we have a 25K assignment in escrow?
Yeah, so I get a call from the title company saying, "Yo, I don't know if y'all are going to be able to close this because there are so many liens on the property. They look like pretty big liens too. They said we're requesting the payoff amount, so I don't know exactly what all the payoff amounts are, but it does look like the seller's going to have to come with some money to closing." Like, oh shit!
Seller's not just moving to Dallas; they're running from something.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Like, they're having to pay to get this thing sold, and they're already taking a huge cut.
Yeah. Okay. So you get the call. Your heart drops down into your stomach. You're like, Jesus Christ! We just had the perfect scenario. And now it's a waiting game, huh? So now you're just waiting for the payoffs to come back, or do you talk to the seller? What happens when you get that call?
Well, I immediately, we're waiting for the payoffs to come back. I don't know how bad it is. The title company kind of told me like, it's kind of bad. They're going to need to come to closing with some money. I don't know most people who like to go to closing with money if they're selling their property. So, but I'm like, hey, let me call the seller at least, kind of set expectations, tell them the conversation I had with the title company. And the seller was just extremely, extremely motivated. Like you said, Charles, they're probably running for someone or something like that, because they were extremely motivated and said, hey, Diego, like, we're still going to get this done. We know that we're going to have to come to closing with money. We're already making some calls to see how we're going to go about it, but we still want to get this done. So I'm like, okay, bet. I'm like, that calms me down. But then I'm checking in with the title company. What's the payoff? Oh, we haven't heard anything. Next week goes by. Hey, what's the payoff? We should have had something this week, but we still haven't got anything. Like, I don't know. Let me make some calls. Let me do something. So the next week after that, I called them. What's the payoff? They still haven't got back to us. They said that they should have received it a while back.
And what's the buyer doing at this point, Chris? I mean, he's just happy to be here, just kind of, hey man, let me know, or is he getting a little
No,
nervous?
yeah, we're keeping the buyer updated, of course. The first update was, hey, this is a situation, we're trying to resolve it. So buyer got a little nervous.
Yeah.
This is a great scenario for him, and he's like, oh man, I really hope that works out. Second week, hey, here's the update. No update. Okay, keep me updated. Third week, he now is, I think he might have spoken to the title company, or we gave him the details, but he now kind of he was more clued in about the sellers needing to bring money. So he started thinking the deal was going to fall out. And he told me that. And I reiterated to him, hey, so far, everything we know from the seller, they're going to bring money to the table. They don't know how, but they're telling us absolutely no way they can hold on to this property. It is going to get to the closing table. Yeah. That's all I can tell the buyer at that point.
Okay. And look, this I hate to go on this little rant. This is why I don't like real estate agents, because they're supposed to handle this type of stuff. Seriously, like, you go to list a property, these are the type of things that you're supposed to get. Like, when you see a property on the market, you're not expecting to run into 15 title issues on the way to closing. So if you're out there, please take care of these types of things. I know they don't teach you this in agent school, but ask if you're going to have title issues when you get to the closing table, so we don't have to deal with your agent problems. But anyway, so
Diego is an agent.
Right? Yeah. So Diego, is that normal for you to put a property on the market, end up, even if it doesn't come from the listing, without having any type of idea what the title situation is going to look like?
So I have not like had any traditional listings or anything like that. I'm not I have my license and everything, but I don't practice like the traditional real estate. So honestly, I don't know. But what I do know is like the good realtors out there that actually make money in this industry, they do their due diligence and make sure, get all the information that the buyer's going to want to know. I mean, anytime we're dispoing a deal, the buyers always ask, is title clear? Is title clear? How's title? So like, as an agent, like they're going to ask how title is and are going to want to know.
Sure, man. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, anyway, agent is gone anyway. Didn't earn money on this one.
Yeah.
For a reason. So here we go. We got, for 3 weeks in, they're saying we're going to bring our money to the table. You guys are all sweating a couple of bullets a day, just trying to make sure this thing goes through. When do you get some information that you can actually use?
So, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I literally think it's like the week before closing or something like that. It's like very, very last minute. And I don't know what was up with that. I don't know why it was taking so long. But they finally got the payoff amount. I forget the exact number, but I mean, the seller was going to have to come to closing with tens of thousands of dollars to be able to.
Oh, so it wasn't like 5,000 or something.
Yeah, it wasn't 1,000, 2, 3. No, it was like tens of thousands. I think over 20,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So I got the payoff amount. I'm like, oh shit! Like, I know the seller said that they're gonna close no matter what, but like 20,000 or over 20,000 is a lot of freaking money.
Yeah.
So
how did they come up with that money, Diego?
Yeah, so I give the seller a call, explain to them that, hey, we got the payoff amount. This is what it is. What are things looking like? How are we going to get this thing to the finish line? And he said, hey, I'm already made some calls. My daughter owns a property. They just sold it. She's going to loan me the money, and then we're going to figure out how to pay her back or whatever. So pretty much their daughter sold their home, and with the proceeds that she got from her home, was able to give that to her parents, or the sellers in this case, that brought it to closing and paid it off that way.
Great daughter. Hopefully your daughter's like that.
100%. She great daughter.
Hey, you better be a good dad, man. You better be a good girl dad, man.
That means the parents did well.
Yeah, they did some parenting over there. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Daughter's gonna live 20 bands to get this thing sold. You're probably like, all right, like whatever. At that point, you just gotta say, all right, whatever you say, man.
Yeah. Now I'm like, okay, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you. We're gonna get it done. And that's what I'm telling Chris. And I'm like, bro, if this shit blows up in my face, and I'm telling Chris, like, yo, the seller's telling me this, like, it just makes me look bad. But like, I'm telling you what the seller's telling me.
Yep, 100%. Okay, so we get the information that It's $20,000. Daughter's gonna pay it off. Is it just smooth sailing to the closing table now? Daughter sends the 20 bids, buyer sends his portion, and everybody walks away clean. How does it go when it comes to the actual closing?
Yeah, pretty much smooth sailing from there. Sellers went and signed, buyers went and signed, and it was good to go.
Yep. Yeah, and so buyer walked the property, I think maybe two more times after we had already got under contract. He wanted to go and get some measurements and hit the ground running after they bought the property, which as a wholesaler, depending on your seller situation in the home, you can deny that or you can allow it. For us, it was no problem. Sellers were easy to deal with, so we sent the buyer back a few times, wanted to help him hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And then, we got it to the closing table. Buyer was elated. He sent me a really happy text. I'm sure your sellers were super happy. I mean, you were their third option, and most of the reasoning for that is because you pushed them away.
Yep.
You said, "Hey, I'm not your guy at this moment. Hey, I'm still not your guy at 385." They came back. Okay, I'm your guy now.
Yeah.
So that's really cool to see that they returned to you twice because you were honest and transparent and you knew where you had to be.
That's massive. That was one of the biggest things that I took away was like, hey, just be upfront. Like the name of our company is HQC Home Buyers, and it stands for High Quality Consulting. And so that's literally what we want to do with our sellers is bring the highest quality consulting out there. And we're not going to be a good fit for everybody. Like I wish we were. I wish we could make $25K on every seller on every deal that we looked at. But the reality is we're not. And so like the seller needs to know that. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you or try to make a deal where there is not a deal. Like this is where we have to be. This is what we're looking at. This is what we can provide. So if you have if you think that you would benefit from any of this, then give me a call back.
Yeah. Oh, what's up, Carvin?
Hi.
What's up, Carvin?
What's good?
Carvin learned how to make 25 today. I like it.
Yeah.
Had a loan 25, hopefully.
Yep.
I love it.
And it sounds like a successful deal, man. We're always happy to see a 20K plus deal come across the table, man. Kudos to both of you guys for, not giving up on this, although it was a little bit non-traditional as far as wholesale deals go. But just in closing, man, what were you guys' biggest takeaways from this? I'll start with you, Chris.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is something that you said toward the beginning, Diego, is don't assume, right? Don't assume your lead when you get it. Don't, hey, this person's not going to sell to me. Don't assume the situation. Don't assume that your seller can't bring money to the table. You went through several instances in that deal where you could have assumed, made up a story in your head and rejected the lead, right?
Yep.
Or once you figured out the payoff, you just canceled the deal. Hey, this isn't going to work. So sorry. You didn't assume, although you had those thoughts in your head, you still followed through with the action to see what the outcome would have been rather than you creating a certain scenario in your head. So that is my biggest takeaway. And I think so many wholesalers do that and they cost themselves $25,000. They cost themselves $100K. Yep. Or they cost themselves a chance to even stay in the industry, right? Because they're just assuming they don't make any money for 6 months and then they're out and then they're back to working their 9 to 5 or whatever it is. But it seems so small, but it's such a pivotal thing that can turn your career. Is don't assume, bro. Just call the seller, have the conversation, and then go from there. But that's my biggest takeaway. I think you did an awesome job at that, Diego.
Yeah, 100%. Diego, what about you, man?
My biggest takeaway is just right there with Chris. Don't assume, don't prejudge the lead. There's so many things that us as wholesalers can look at and then prejudge the lead, right? Like whether it's the asking price, there maybe the lack of motivation, or the fact that it's listed on a realtor, the condition being good. There's so many things that you first look at it and it's like, oh shoot, and then you go into the call with that mindset. And then you mess up the call because you prejudged the lead. And that could have been what happened on this one. Another takeaway is, so don't prejudge the lead, and also focus on your sellers. Love the one you're with and provide them what they want. try to figure out their goals, their wants, their needs, and then come up with a solution for that. In the beginning, we weren't the right option, right? In the beginning, he said, hey, I still have time to wait. I'm not willing to wait. He decided to wait 3 more months, and then he gave me a call back, and it was 3 months after the first time I talked with him where the time was up and now he needed to sell. So build that rapport, get to know them, have them like you, trust you, and want to do business with you, so that when that timing and circumstance comes, you'll be the one they call back.
100%, man. 100%. I'm piggybacking off of you guys here. I think obviously don't assume. It's something we've all done with leads, right? Don't assume is definitely correct. And I think that this next thing is the truth too, right? Always make the offer, but don't wait. You didn't waste time though, right? Like you made the offer, you had the conversation with them, but you didn't waste a lot of time, right? When you have leads like this, 99 out of 100 of these are not going to be deals, right? That's just a matter. It is what it is. But because you can always get that one that might be a deal, you need it's not a deal, make the offer, but don't waste time. You didn't try to convince him that 375 or 350 or whatever was what his house was worth, because that's not the place that they were at, right? You make your offer, it doesn't work for them, you're nowhere in the ballpark, cool, no problem. This is probably a better option for you, and let it go, right? That's the reason why he called you back. You obviously were not the only wholesaler that ever called him, right? And although he tried to go in a different direction, he kept coming back to you because you kept it the most honest with him, right? You kept it the most honest and he felt like you had his best interest in mind. You can actually get it done. So don't waste time with these retail leads. Make an offer, right? And let it be known that you can buy the property, but it needs to be at this price. And then obviously don't turn off your marketing necessarily.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call you back like that, but I think you did a great job of handling that, bro, and being somebody's solution that really needed a solution. So congratulations to you both, man. Great deal.
Appreciate that. No, and Charles, that's massive. Don't waste time. Don't waste time. Like, because that's one thing getting into wholesaling. I'm like, shoot, like make an offer on every call, But like, damn, this property, there's no way in hell they're going to take my offer, right? It's super nice. It's listed on the market, right? So my script that I go through, I'm having a 30, 45-minute call with all of my leads. And so I'm like, well, shoot, if I see these signs, is it worth my time having a 45-minute call with them if I know deep down that more than likely the chances are they're not going to take my offer? So that means, okay, maybe don't spend 45 minutes on the phone with them, but still make them the offer, because you never know, right? Like, we don't want to not give them the offer, but you also don't want to waste time. So don't go through the long process of everything. Just say, hey, be straight up. Hey, we're investors. This is what we're looking for. We've got to make money off of it. We're in a very crazy market right now. Your property is at a price point where they've been affected the most, unlike all of these other properties here. So it makes it very tricky. That being said, this is where we feel comfortable getting the deal done. If not, we're just not the best fit. And that's the way I handled it. So that, I agree with you big time.
You're 100%. I have this conversation with people almost every day, right? If I've been doing this long enough, I can tell when there's some motivation. I can tell when there's a need for my services, and when there's not. I say something very simple. Hey, if they give me a number, or I see that the listing price, whatever, they give me a number that's clearly nowhere near where I need to be, I'll simply say, hey, I'm not going to be your buyer at that price. I'm going to be honest with you, right? We're looking for this, like you were saying. We're looking for something that we can put some money into, that we can make some money on, blah, blah, blah. Not trying to hit a home run necessarily, but there's got to be some meat on the, right? And there's two things that help me determine whether I'm going to move forward or not. If they say, well, where would you be, right? That gives me an inclination that there is a slight chance that this might happen. And I'll go a little deeper into it and throw some, I'm not going to go through 45 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Take 5 or 10 minutes just to talk to them and see, and throw some numbers out there and just see where they're at with it, right? If they tell me, oh yeah, well, if you're not at my number, then have a nice day. I tell them, have a nice day.
Yeah.
I'm not here to waste your time, man, right? So it can be very simple. I think we convolute this business sometimes and forget that we're deal finders, not deal creators, right?
Yeah,
when it comes
100%.
Congratulations again, guys. Great deal breakdown too. I had fun with this one despite my technical difficulties, so appreciate you.
Diego, I know you're new here, but we end every one of these lives with a Mavs in 7. We're going to take game 5. Kyrie's going to get rid of the curse.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring it back to Dallas and win one more, and then we're gonna go back to Boston and win one more.
Okay.
Hey, back, baby, let's get
All right, Diego. We appreciate you. Later, guys.
All right. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good one. I appreciate y'all.
You too.